What's up, everybody? This is Tucker at MACkite Boarding, and today I have the honor of showing you around the Flysurfer POW Parawing. And this wing has some unique features, some unique performance. So we thought we'd bring a quick video to you and talk you through what has been one of our favorite Parawings in the market. So let's start with the bar here. We have a L-shaped bar or a J-shaped bar, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. So this is a really neat feature rather than just being flat with hard ends. It has a real tapered end here. And then on this side, obviously you have kind of a pistol grip, which is really handy, I find. And I love that they put some unique thought into this bar, made it a little bit more ergonomic. It's very light. It has a nice grip, narrow diameter, but then the ends also allow the bridles just to fall off nicely if they get looped around. So that's a nice thing, especially when you have our next point here, a pulley bridle system, because if that kind of gets wrapped over, it's nice that it'll fall off. Whereas if that were a little bit more blunt, I think that we might have more issues with that. But this bridle line's nice and short, nothing really to worry about. It's not dangling down here in the main part of the bridle. So I haven't really had any tangle issues with this, which is a nice benefit. You gain that additional range and bar adjustment pressure from this without getting the negative, which is the additional tangleability and packability issues. But really this doesn't have any problems with that. It's really easy, it's out of your way. So they've done a nice job at really thinking that through. Additionally, on the bar, we have an adjustable center line here. So depending on the wind, depending on the feel you want at the bar, you can make that adjustment. I find kind of that natural setting sort of between the yellow and the orange coated bar, which makes it really easy, obviously, to find the front. I would think, maybe the orange should have been in front because that's the one you're grabbing the most, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter as long as you know which is which. This one obviously has a totally different shape too, so that makes it easier to index and find the flying front end without spending a lot of time looking at it and figuring that out when you're on the water. Additionally, at the end here, a lot of people are going to be using harness lines in parawinging if you're riding upwind or if you're spending a lot of time on the water, just to help relieve that pressure on your arms, tackle some of that additional pull and ground your balance a little lower in the center of gravity. So anyway, yeah, I fly a harness line a lot, and a lot of them, it's kind of a pain to get a harness line over this if you're not tying it on. If you're slipping a loop over the end, you have to disconnect the bridles and undo a bunch of the bridles and stuff. These ones, you've got a little flathead screw there. You can use a coin or a key or whatever, big screwdriver to loosen it up, and that's just a cap. These bridles come in and it's just a single pin that kind of sets in there. So you just push that out, pull the pin out, pull this out for a second, put your your harness lines over that, put it back in, put the pin back in, pull it tight, screw that end in, and you're ready to go. So as far as installing a harness line, I would say this is the easiest one I've used so far. So there's that, which is really nice. I mentioned before, we have the pulley here. That's going to give us a little bit more consistent handling and bar pressure throughout the range of the wing. It does, I believe, give you a little bit more range from the wing based on my experience testing those with and without. It does add a tiny bit of weight. It does add a tiny bit of a tangle point with your bridles, but this one's close enough to the bar, and it's a really nicely shaped one here where it kind of tends to just fall off. It doesn't get snagged up in your bridles. So I haven't had really an issue with that one, thankfully. And being at the bar sheds lines so nicely, I do find that this wing tangles less than most. So that's really nice. Coming into the actual bridle lines here, you can see you've got kind of 4 stages coming off it, whereas a lot have 3. I don't pretend to be a designer, but there's a reason for that, I'm assuming, and it does fly very smooth. It does have a great range. I have to assume that contributes to that. However, They're all the same color. So I think maybe, you know, personally, I would have preferred at least the front lines be a different color than the rest. It's not a make or break thing. I don't think it's something that can really, you know, ruin your day or make your day out on the water, but it's a nice thing as you're, you know, figuring out your bridle, if you're tangled or if you need to lay your bridles out, if there's an issue and replace one or make an adjustment. It does make it a little bit more confusing when they're all the same color here with the orange lines. That being said, I will say these lines are really high qualities, as you expect from Flysurfer. They fly through the hands really nicely. So I'm not sure what they're doing with the splicing on these, but there's no rough ends that are cutting your hands or chafing your hands really bad as you pull it in. So that's a really nice benefit of whatever they're doing with these. Again, I don't pretend to understand the specifics of it, other than Flysurfer's been doing, you know, gliders and double skin wings and single skin wings for a long time. Coming into our canopy here, this is the 2.5 meter, so it's not super huge. I can show it to you here in the shop. It does have a nice, deep, efficient front edge profile. It has some stiffening pieces in the front edge here, which are just, you know, like a moldable plastic. So, you know, take care of that when you're packing it away, bunch it up, you know, like you do with most of these. Don't just cram it into a bag wet and punch it and then leave it that way for 6 months, because some of these leading battens may kind of deform a little bit. Whereas, you know, if you're packing it away quickly in a session, that's different. You're not leaving it there for a month at a time. When you're packing it away for the day, especially if you're going to storage, you know, just pay a little attention to the leading edge here. Going into our canopy, it's rather simple. There's no more ribs than you need, I would say. And they're using a really light but tough material. I found this has a really nice response. It feels a little heavier than some of the others in terms of durability, but it's exceedingly lightweight on the scale. So, you know, they really know what they're doing with regard to picking sailcloth for these kinds of wings. So they've done a great job with it. And having fewer ribs does make this wing lighter weight and easier to pack than most of the wings in the market, I find. So pretty stoked on the POW wing. As I said, we have the 2.5 here. We're also going to have a 4 meter and I believe a 1.8, something like that. Anyway, there's something smaller than this in the line, and then also a 4. So I look forward to flying the 4 for those lighter days, but I'm here to tell you I'm 90 kilos. It is shocking what kind of wind I've been able to ride the 2.5 meter in. You know, for winging, I rarely grab even a 3 or a 3.5. 4 is about as small as I tend to go, and I just continue to ride more and more powered up and faster, you know, even up into the 40s. But with parawinging, you know, you really can't push your limits that far. So having this 2.5 has been really fun to get me out on, you know, those really killer days where it's blowing, you know, 30 or more. This is really comfortable and handles it quite easily. So that's a nice benefit of having an even smaller size. And one thing I can say that's special about the POW as compared to a lot of other parawings is it's got a really fantastic range. The bar pressure is quite light and it goes upwind really well. So for those sessions where I don't want to plan a downwinder, where I don't have all day to just go as far as I can and hope for a pickup or schedule a pickup or, you know, plan it with somebody else, you know, I can just go down the street, ride in the same spot, go upwind a mile, come downwind a mile, go upwind a mile, come downwind a mile. And this wing goes upwind really well, and it's comfortable even as the winds pick up. I guess you'd assume that would be the case for a 2.5 meter because it's so small, but I'm again shocked at how light I can ride it. I've ridden this one as light as about 22 knots of wind, which is, you know, not a lot for me on a parawing at 90 kilos. So I give it big 2 thumbs up for range and ease of use that way. So pretty amped on that for the POW. Now, we like to pick at the wing. I kind of already get at this already, but I think one improvement that could be made are color-coded bridles. So maybe we'll see that as a mid-season change. I wouldn't put it past Flysurfer to do that, because they are always improving, even if it's in line without releasing a new wing. So I've put in the request for that. Hopefully we'll see the fruits of that suggestion here in the future. But if you're into a Parawing, you don't need something bigger than a 4, give the Flysurfer POW a good look, because it is a fantastic wing, as you'd expect from such an accomplished foil, dual skin, single skin paraglider company like Flysurfer. So hang around, guys. We're gonna have lots more Parawing videos coming your way, reviews, comparisons, because this is all brand new. So we're all learning together, and I think there's a lot of excitement around all the new products that are coming to market, and no one really knows yet what's what and how it can help you and what kind of category it's in. So hopefully we'll be here to weed that out for you. And if y'all have any suggestions or questions along the way, please put them in the comments section below or reach out to us here at the shop. This has been Tucker with MACkite Boarding, and we'll see you next time.